coming to you from Australia, the land down under. That's right, beautiful over here. It's home to ideas, many wonderful ideas spiraling out of control. That's what you want. Importantly, though, this is listener-funded radio, which means you, dear listener, hopefully can support the station with any kind of currency, including crypto. It's all good. Gold, diamonds. I love emeralds. Bring me the riches of the world. If you can't donate, that's okay. Tell people about the station. That's just as good. Thank you so much for that. Today is the 25th of March, 2025. That's right. That's right, March. It's almost Easter, wouldn't you know it? You can catch the cave on the air, on the line, and on your smart device. And that's on the line all the time. So grab an app to listen anywhere or listen at home on a Grace tabletop digital radio. But you know what? Another good reason to donate or tell people about the station is the fact that the archives are in fact completely and utterly free. You can go in there and listen to anything you want. It's very simple. Just go to the homepage and follow the bouncing ball. Very intuitive. Before we start broadcasting at you in anger, which we will momentarily, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land. For myself, of course, the Iraq people, and for Dave.
It's the Dark and Jung.
Thank you, sir. See how I mixed it up a bit there for you? And we'd like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What a meltdown. What an interesting day. You know what I say, Dave? Let me tell you what I say.
What's that?
I'll tell you what. If you hire monkeys, you get a whole pile of peanut shit. That's what you get. Okay, if you hire monkeys. And normally it's the other way around. If you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. But there's just no peanuts. You just hired the monkeys, and now we get peanut shit. What do I mean by that? Interestingly enough, I know I keep saying it, and I will keep saying it because it's true every day. The United States of America are run like a corporation, right? I just didn't realize, Dave, just how far that analogy stretched. In fact, it seems, excuse me, that the people in charge are doing IT management by magazine. Ooh, Signal! That sounds like something we should use. Woo! Discord! Yay! Whatever, it's just an app. It's in the cloud, right? Yeah. Just download the internet and print it out for me, and then fax it to me in blue. I want a blue fax of the internet on my desk in the morning, Dave. And that's what we saw today. Now, the funny thing is this. I'll let you have it, brother. If this had happened to Sleepy Joe Biden, and trust me, I don't love him any more than the current guy, the Republicans would have been screaming, blue murder, impeachment, this, that, and the other. I mean, by now everybody would have heard what happened, right? And this is a security breach of almost unprecedented proportions in that, open source app was used, yes, encrypted, but open source. And apparently someone added someone to something. And the reason this is important is because this couldn't happen on a government vetted app. Only registered and certified users can take part in any given conversation. That's actually a thing. But no, there we are. It happened, and now it's a whitewash. I mean, the White House actually confirmed that the string in Signal is real. It actually happened. So Mr. Goldberg is not lying, and he might be some kind of peddler of lies, maybe. But this one isn't one of them. What do you think? Redirect, Your Honor. Permission to redirect the witness.
Yeah, it's funny because I saw the story and I couldn't believe that any top secret information would be used, like you said, on a communications platform that wasn't purely designed for that. You wouldn't use Signal, WhatsApp, Discord, or any of them. You just wouldn't.
WhatsApp is owned by, is it Facebook? Or no?
Facebook.
That's safe.
So you wouldn't. You just wouldn't. Now, Vance is saying that no official information was sent across that. Obviously, that could either mean that there wasn't any, or there's some butt covering going on.
He's lying. We know he's lying.
I just said butt covering, right? Yeah. So that means lying. But whichever way it is, I think bringing in Goldberg was clearly a mistake. Right? Clearly.
We shouldn't have pressed the red button, sir. But it was so shiny. It was a mistake, sir.
But I wanted to bomb him, so I got all excited and pushed the red button. So the news story that I have on screen is from The Hill, and it says Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, was apparently included in a Trump administration group chat on Signal in which top officials debated and then discussed details of attacks against Houthi rebels in Yemen. It doesn't say that there was top secret, but clearly the mission hadn't occurred yet, and so, according to the timeline that has been reported, that's pretty crazy. And for that person to release that detail to the wider community, that Jeffrey Goldberg told everyone, oh, you'd never guess, right? I'm gonna tell you a secret about what happened. I don't know how it worked, but however it happened, geez, I'm going to call it fiasco. It's also used in this article. I'm extremely surprised. Anyone with any clearance level at all, knows that you're not allowed to communicate on unverified, non-official channels. That's it. Anything at all. They've got their own platform for that, for crying out loud, right? So,
yeah, but it's so slow. It's slow, and it's just like the judicial. I don't like it, and I think it's not the greatest thing anyway. So let's just use the one that's greater, and it's Signal. I mean, what's safer than a Signal, Dave? By the way, just to be clear, I listened to the interview with Goldberg.
Yes.
And what he had to say. So there's a whole bunch of stuff.
I heard it straight from him too. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of stuff he didn't actually write about at all, because this is the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, who doesn't really like the Trump administration too much, I think. I know they don't like him. But he said, I didn't publish everything that I could have because, it's actually, in my mind, this is information that the public shouldn't have. This is I guess, a breach of national security potentially, right? So I'm not going to do that. Suffice it to say, plus it probably wouldn't be interesting if you knew, the type of devices, the tonnage, et cetera, plus, a few other things. It's just starting. And the funny thing is this, and you saw it as well, he said he didn't believe it. He thought someone was just phishing him, just catfishing, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, they're trying to discredit me, so that's clearly it's nonsense, because, what are the odds? What are the odds? And then, when he got all the other messages in Signal, then all of a sudden he did see on the TV the actual attack had, occurred, and in fact, in exactly the order that had been said on Signal, he realized, oh, this is actually happening. And to be honest with you, what he did was the responsible thing. He did not publish any of the classified information
until afterwards.
No.
He didn't say till after. Yeah.
Yeah. No, even the stuff that was. There was stuff he didn't publish at all afterwards or before.
Yes.
Certainly not
That's
before.
The same as WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks held back a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And he didn't do that. And not only that, he said, "Hey guys, as a responsible citizen, I think there's some kind of security problem that you have here." which is actually really good. Because the thing is this, he could have just stayed mum. He's like, I'm just going to sit here and see what else they're going to say. Because
That's right.
I could sell this story for millions. I mean, the Atlantic would have readership going through the roof, right? But he didn't do that.
You'd be Googling a screen scraper.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Wouldn't you? But, to be able to video it live.
100%. Yeah. But again,
not me, of course, but that someone.
Yeah, no, not me either. Never. What?
Well, I wouldn't do it, right?
Yeah, I would. Absolutely, I would. How do you think I get leverage on people, Dave? Come on, get with the program.
That's terrible.
I'm taking a page off the Epstein book. No, but it is clearly something that a responsible citizen should do. You know, if they detect. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, kudos, well done, right? And Donald Trump clearly didn't understand what was going on because he said, "Oh, was it about the attack? Oh, yeah, well, that went very well, so it can't be very effective." So that had nothing to do with what Goldberg actually said. But that's neither here nor there. But this is very serious. And all jokes aside, Dave, and it doesn't matter which administration this happens in. This is a very serious security breach, and which could have had. But the thing is, this is what worries me, right? We don't know what else has happened.
Who else? Who in there, in those conversations,
attempted but also
to stop it?
But also other conversations potentially. I don't know.
Oh well, that's so. Number one, the conversation we've known about. Someone should have said, Mr. President, this is not the right, thing. We need to move over to our allotted software, right?
Yeah, but look, again, they like to make their own rules, and I understand that as well, right? Yeah, but the thing is this.
But wow,
you're right.
Because I would jump off the call at that point if they didn't do it.
Yeah, but this is where the problem lies, Dave, and this is what I'm trying to get at. And
I know where you're going. Go ahead.
But what the problem here is, and that's why I said, when you get monkeys, you get a whole pile of peanut poo. These people, for the most part, were Fox News anchors until very recently, right? And didn't really ever have a position like this. They didn't even. They were never, I guess, part of the security machine or the I guess there was what I'm saying is there was no adult in the room, right? And we have this saying in the corporate world that you need at least one adult in the room, meaning a lot of people will just goof off and do their own thing and not do any work unless you've got someone that's responsible in there that actually gets it going, right? That's usually senior management, hopefully. Never executive management, not those guys. Senior management, the layer beneath, right? That keep the ship running. And that's what's missing here, Dave. The first Trump administration actually had those people, right? The second Trump administration, the current one, doesn't have any of those people, right? There are no adults in the room. And that is clearly obvious with this particular security breach. And that's actually a problem wider than Republican or Democrat or anything like that. I mean, that's completely irrelevant at this point. How are they going to fix it? How are they going to make sure that these people, especially if they're denying it and lying about what they did, they're not going to do it again, right? And next time, will it have more serious consequences? Will it be an unfriendly actor that gets the message? Or, well, I mean, can you imagine the damage? Let's say, just for argument's sake, that Goldberg decided, I'm going to sell the information to the Houthis. I'm going to tell them what's going to happen. So he didn't think he was catfished. He just, gets in touch with the Houthi command and he warns them all of the strike. So they all are somewhere else when the strikes all happen.
And then he gets on a plane and lives in another country.
Somewhere. Oh, well, only if they catch him. But the point is...
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, but the point is, it's really... It's a serious situation, right? It's a serious security breach.
Yeah. So it would be improper use of technology for classified material, right, or something like that. There'd be something really bad.
The national what's it called? The National Secrecy Act could be invoked here. Right? That's serious.
It's a threat to national security. That's what that is. Using that platform for stars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, well, I don't know. I don't know what is next, because did you have, top secret conversations and pulling in, someone from the media into it by mistake for March? I didn't on my bingo card.
Yeah.
Look, I'm still concerned about the amount of jubilation that is seen on their faces in media, in all of their conversations, in how they present themselves. I would imagine maybe a little bit more seriousness. A little.
They're kids in a toy store and a candy store. They've got the big shoes on. Look, I'm wearing my big boy pants. And, they're running around the world stage. Look at us. Look how wonderful. I mean, seriously, that's what it feels like, right? And bear in mind that very few of those, if any, ever held elected office, right? And or were in any position of this kind of power. And it is. Look, I can only imagine myself as well. I mean, I've been in senior management for a long time now. But I can imagine that, if someone gets into it, all of a sudden they have all these people and power and think, ooh, I can do all this and that, and look at me, I'm invincible. Like, some people that we know, Dave. This is times a million, right? If you're part of the administration of the States.
Absolutely, totally. Yeah. So, look, the way I approach their jubilation is with trepidation.
Yeah.
I'm watching, so that's on the right. When I watch the left now, I'm concerned. I'm concerned about, you could take this how you will, but I'm concerned about people causing criminal damage and death threats and using explosive devices or setting those up against any government official. I think that all of that's bad, right? But the left is now going after the right. Now, as a top-down management, your followers will follow suit. That's what they do. And I'm getting really concerned. And up until just maybe 3 weeks ago, the thought of a civil war in America seemed further than it does now. I think we're closer.
I know you probably in the board of, I believe in the good of man, which I don't, not even a little bit.
No.
And I can tell you that I've seen the specter of civil war looming for a while now. I don't know. Did you get a chance to watch the 60 Minutes report on the Proud Boys on Sunday?
Oh, I saw some of it. I didn't see all of it.
Oh, yeah. So, I saw some of it as well. I didn't see all of it, same as you. But I am very concerned about that aspect. Now, what the founder, and I forget his name, but funny enough, he's a Cuban. He's actually a Cuban-American. So, that, not really what you would think to find in a white supremacist organization, but still, that is. He says he's got about 30,000 members, which some people think might be a slight exaggeration. There's even an Australian chapter. Do you know that? There's an Australian chapter of the Proud Boys.
Of course there is.
Of course there is, right? But what we have seen, though, is on January 6th that these people are committed. That the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, they're committed to their belief. They're committed to Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, and in his fashion, has secured their loyalty by pardoning thousands of them, literally thousands. And the leader was, I think he was sentenced to 22 years jail for what he did, and now they're out, and he is emboldened. I mean, what he said in the interviews with the 60 Minutes reporter was quite confronting, to be honest, in some ways. Is civil war imminent? I wouldn't say it's imminent, but certainly it's getting there. And it brings me back to my initial theory around Trump and Russia and Musk, etc., and weakening America, and all of it leading, I guess, more or less rapidly to a great reset. And it's all just falling into line. It really is. Mm-hmm. I'm more worried about civil war in Turkey at the moment than I am a civil war in America, to be honest. But overall, I mean, if you look at the global barometer...
Oh, it's crazy. It's off the charts, isn't it?
Well, it is. Yes, in many ways, it is. This is the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. The demise of the great empires, the rise of the new empires, new technologies. I mean, back then, the Industrial Revolution, was in full swing. And nations such as Germany and Great Britain and France were in stark contrast to Russia and China, which were largely agrarian societies. And we're seeing something similar today, where we've got these highly technologized, that's not really a word, but highly technological societies like in the United States, Europe, Australia, even and Singapore and some others, in competition with societies that are still sort of stuck, I guess, in the Industrial Revolution, and trying to bring their carbon emissions under control and whatnot. So it is an echo, and we're also harking back to the politics of that era, as we discussed, right? The talk of annexation. And I mean, it boggles the mind. It really, I mean, if you had told me last year that Donald Trump wants to annex Canada and Greenland, I would have said, what? Yeah, sure. Give me some of what you're smoking. There must be some really good stuff. Because it is so far-fetched, right? The Panama Canal I can see. If someone had said to me, Donald Trump wants the Panama Canal, I go, yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. I mean, the British, the French, they've all wanted the Suez Canal. It has repeatedly changed hands, and I wouldn't be surprised if somebody tried to seize the Suez Canal again from Egypt. Wouldn't surprise me at all, right? Because that makes sense. The Panama Canal is an extremely important strategic asset, super important for
And you know who he called?
Who did he call?
BlackRock.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. BlackRock bought the port facilities. That's
on both sides.
Yes, that is exactly
right.
And you go, okay, BlackRock, eh? yeah, that's who we call. Interesting. They pop up everywhere, right? They pop up here.
They're everywhere, and I love BlackRock, by the way.
Yeah, they're my employer of choice, brother.
I went for a job with them, and I didn't hear anything back.
Oh, what a shock! So what is your?
There's a black van full of aerials following you around now, but that's all right.
The funny thing is also that obviously Putin has no interest at all in any kind of ceasefire ever, and Donald Trump seems to be just taking it lying down. I mean, there's nothing at all happening in that respect, which I find again quite astounding. And also, I don't know if you noticed, but Witkoff, who met with Putin's people, or even Putin himself, recently brought back a portrait from Russia for Donald Trump. Which Donald Trump was really touched by this portrait. Now, the funny thing is that some people have asked, has this portrait been checked for microphones? Has it been X-rayed?
That's right.
And I think that's a fair comment. Not wanting to take anything away from it.
If you're exposed to it for too long, what happens to you?
Yeah, will your teeth fall out?
Bit of fentanyl,
A bit of fentanyl. That's what happened. But interestingly enough, that's something happened. At the same time, Donald Trump also said that he didn't like a portrait that had been painted of him that's sitting in, I want to say Colorado, maybe in a state house in one of the states. Look, I really can't remember which one.
It's irrelevant where it is, but it's there. But
he doesn't like it, and he goes, it's because it's not very flattering. And the same artist did a really great portrait of Obama, but clearly it wasn't done very well of him. And the person responsible is some kind of Democrat governor or whatever, except it isn't. It was actually a grassroots campaign on GoFundMe, and it raised $10,000 from the grassroots supporters of Donald Trump because they wanted his portrait. This was in his first presidency. They wanted his portrait in their state house. and his Donald Trump supporters actually commissioned and paid for the artist to paint that painting. Right?
Donald Trump has enough money to pay the same artist to redo it.
Oh no! Yeah, I know, but it seems a little. What's the best word?
Hedonistic.
Yeah. No, it's. I mean, if something is gifted to you, right?
Oh, that's right.
You're not going to say, "Oh, what a lot of crock this is."
You don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
That's the one, right? And and ultimately, this is not looking the gift horse in the mouth. This is kicking the gift horse down the stairs and telling it, "Your mother is ugly." Okay. So I don't know. Today has been just an amazing day, Dave, when it comes to news. But I really am concerned, and I want to say this again. I am concerned about the obvious lack of either understanding or care for or maybe misjudgment, right? Because that would be the best case scenario in my mind, of the security situation of America that these administration officials have, right? That's what I find really quite disturbing. And I'll tell you one other thing. I thought about why are all these people on board so much? Republicans still, even if they got fired, whatever, there's still people on board. I mean, some people are protesting, whatever. But they're still on board with all of this. And we've got our little mind control show in Chinese Head Out, a little bit of plug here on Sundays. Come and listen if you like. But so mind control aside, what would make you completely and utterly hitch your wagon to Donald Trump's star if, and I'm saying if, the end outcome will be an autocratic regime where Donald Trump seizes power? What would be the thing, Dave, that would compel you to completely go along with it?
I was paid a lot of money?
Yes. So why not? So let's say these people were promised, okay, we're going to be an autocracy. I'm going to be in charge, and you're going to be in charge of Montana. You're going to be the king of Montana. You're going to be the king of Texas. You're going to be the king of California or whatever, right? So the best way, and this is how English kings, that's how kings in general work. So a king by him or queen by herself, they can't do a lot. Even if they're ordained by God, even if, some watery tart throws a sword at them, right? But that's not enough. In reality, what you need is a power base. And in the olden days, those were the barons, usually the dukes, right? The feudal princes of the realm that would support the mandate of the king, the God-given mandate, because it also fostered their own mandate, right? So the king is, obviously appointed by God, and then, the king is appointing all of us, right? Or he's keeping us in good stead. So we'll swear fealty to him because that's how I justify my authority to my peasants. And that's what's happening here, right? So Donald Trump, being the king, promises all these riches and powers potentially to all of his people that are following him, right? And in my mind, that makes perfect sense because they're acting as though the democracy is already gone. They're acting as though the republic is already down the toilet, right? Security schmurdy. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, right? And the complete denial and even lying about the fact, which was, funnily enough, authenticated by the White House. This happened. Let's find out why it happened, and let's make sure it doesn't happen again. But the people themselves that did it, no contrition, only attack. And that's, as we all know, that's Donald Trump's motto, which you learned from Mr. Cohen. So that's what I think, Dave. If you're given like a fiefdom, then, of course, I want to be the feudal lord of Texas. Right?
Yeah. Well, they could give me, I don't know, Greenland, and I'll do a pretty good
Not
job.
his to give yet.
Yeah, I know. But, I've got my hand up. What about Australia? Mickey, we could be the 52nd state. What am I
too
53rd.
far?
53rd.
I want to say that the Pacific is our saving grace.
It's too
I think
far.
it is. Yeah, look, to effectively govern us from afar.
Well, it wasn't from England.
Well, did it work, though, effectively?
No, it didn't. I'm not talking
America?
about being effective.
Yeah.
If you've suddenly using a measure of effectiveness against the American government. That's hilarious.
Ooh, you're getting...
Oh, see. No. That's very funny, and I like your point there. But I wanted to bring something up that the Samsung Electronics CEO passed away, age 63.
I said flowers, so it's okay.
Yeah. And did you know that? Remember the DNA website 23andMe?
Yeah, that's bankrupt, right?
Yeah, it's gone bankrupt, and they're looking for a buyer. But the big call is that whoever buys it, whoever it is, could be a nation state for all I care. I don't really care. But you've got to follow the applicable laws in the governance of the person's private details.
I think that's a fair call.
I mean, you say that, right? But does that applicable law only occur to the original data? Say I copied it to a USB stick, right? It's pretty big. Then does it still count? I don't know, right? Who knows? I got a backup from a while ago. It's all right. That was back then, right? So there's a lot of conspiracy talk about the true nature of the DNA sites, looking for bloodlines and people who have come back to life. I don't know who they are. There was someone they were waiting for such 2,000 years. The talk in the conspiracy circles is that is the true reason for the DNA website, since we've got that pooling data. Because look, I've heard that people have used a number of those separate sites, and each have provided a different detail for the same person. Different countries of origin. It's like they just threw the samples into a big pool, right? And just sent a random letter out to the person. Oh, did you know that you're part Cherokee? I've never been. I have no ancestors that come from America. What? Right? Or you're 100% from Hawaii, right? Or Tahitian. Who knows? I'm just saying that the claims that they make, you've got to be very careful with.
A little outlandish, maybe?
Well, I don't know. Who's to say? Because it's just a money-making exercise, right?
Look, it is. I mean, that's ultimately what it was made for. Yeah, correct.
And who, clearly, because it does work, and there's millions of people that have done it, but who is to say, who are you going to question? Oh, can you run it again? Well, we ran it. We'll send you the copy of the letter again. But you sent me the copy, and I'm kind of disbelieving you now, right? You could actually be. I'm just making a hypothetical scenario here. You could be from Tanzania, right? And you just fill out your name and address and pay with a credit card, and send your detail off, and then they tell you that you're from Iceland, right? And woohoo, right? I'm Icelandic now. I'm going to go meet Bjork. That's what I'm going to do. So look, it throws into question a whole bunch of things. Number one, the security of your personal, information is extremely critical. And at this point in the world, is that the last bastion of joining it all together? If you owned another company that had a whole bunch of data, say, purchased from the other side of the internet, you could join up stuff that was just truly amazing. And is this database being used by Interpol?
Well, I would say most likely.
Yes. Yeah. So, is there anything to gain from discovering more about the people you have tests for, besides their name? I think there is. Imagine a family tree that you'd be able to create genetically.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine a bloodline you could follow.
Yeah.
If you're
I'm
really
actually the
interested
next in line for the throne of the Englishes. What? The Englishes. I'm the next one. Okay.
You could have been a Russian oligarch and you still get the throne in England. That's right. See what I did there? I do love the leader and the AI. I don't like all the AIs, but there's one that I like, and I won't name you. And what who else did I like at the beginning of the show? I forget. I just like everybody. That's what I do.
Dave is a lover, not a revolutionary.
Not at all. So, and I say nothing. So that doesn't matter either. All I try to do is put a little bit of humor into whatever the truly serious stuff is, because I don't want people to worry about it, Mackie. I really don't.
I do, and I want them to worry about it. No, look, the thing is this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, I do love to read up on history and understand it. The thing is this: most crises in the world could have been avoided, because you have to ask yourself this: why do we fight? Why are there endless wars in our history? Why do we admire people like Napoleon or Genghis Khan or Stalin or whatever, the greatest mass murderers of all time? Why do we, Alexander the Great is another good example. Why do we think these are such great people? Oh, the conquests and they conquered the world. Is that a good thing? We don't look at people that actually are productive with the same reverence. Like Mother Teresa, right, who pretty much spent her life in service to the poor and indigent in Calcutta, right? Or Albert Einstein. No matter how much you think he might have stolen what he did, but yes, he's revered as a scientist, but nowhere near the adulation that Napoleon or Alexander the Great gets, or Nikola Tesla, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
By any measure, the person that invented the world we live in, okay, and got nothing to show for it. I think it is the greatest affront that Elon Musk company is called Tesla. Because the one thing I'm sure of in this world is that Tesla would have nothing to do with Musk. Nothing. He wouldn't want, because Musk is like Westinghouse and Edison, right? Not inventing anything himself, just claiming credit for everything, right? That's exactly what happened.
Was it Tesla's quote where he said, "There's things you can't solve with an equation"?
Yes, he didn't think that theoretical physics was at all useful.
That's right.
And he was an experimentalist. He was a theoretical physicist, but in the way that he experimented, right? He actually built. He was an engineer. These equations are nice, but this is reality. So remember, he sent a radio signal around the world at greater than the speed of light.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, he said, while all these other people are still saying that, the speed of light is the absolute speed limit in the universe, clearly it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But again, people have been trying to debunk his radio signal and other things as well. But Tesla's world, I believe, because it is experimental, it actually looked at the world and he did things, he physically made things, right? Is worth more than all the formulas in the world, all the theories, right? So being able to do something and actually create something and then show, well, it actually works, here it is, right? In a similar way as quantum physics, like we have no idea how it works. We can do the math, and now we've proven it experimentally, right? But the math in and of itself was meaningless. Because so what? Math says this, but we don't know if it's real. Now that we've proven it, we're at a complete loss of understanding. Why is it like this? We have no idea. None, zero, right? But the math, the math seems to work out. So I'm with Tesla any day that
likewise
you need to be an experimental physicist in order to do things. I mean, he thought very deeply about it all. I mean, you can't just make up stuff. So he had ideas and theories, and then he built machines that reflected his his thoughts and ideas. And he was, I mean, think about this for a second, everybody. If Nikola Tesla had his way, right, there'd be no cables in this world.
That's right.
No cables. Like, I mean, the storm took out all the cables and the power lines. No, that's not what happened.
That's right.
Sorry, don't care. And everything that our power lines are suffering from, like solar storms, that would still affect potentially the power transmission, not necessarily as badly as if they're concentrated in a copper cable, because the medium is sort of wider in a way. They're being transmitted through the ether as radio waves, right? So the interruption might not be severe when it comes to solar storms. It'd still be there. But his technology was far superior. And then now we're talking about the wireless this and the Bluetooth that and whatnot, right? What a wonderful world we live in. We could have had this 100 years ago. 100 years ago!
And we don't, because the CIA vacuumed all of the important stuff from his apartment after he passed away.
Yeah. And Westinghouse goes to him. Okay, so because Westinghouse was backing him, right?
That's right.
I think GE was backing.
So Tesla says to Westinghouse, right? Wow, you know what? I finally cracked it. We can just transmit data. Well, not data. We can just transmit power wherever we want.
Oh, that's great! How do I charge for it? Charge?
You can't. What?
What?
How do we put a meter on that?
You would have to put a meter on every device that draws this power. Right?
Exactly.
Now, and of course, that's no good. That's no good at all.
Yeah.
So it could have worked. It could have worked if everybody was charged a flat fee.
Just like a levy or something, right? Yeah.
So in Germany, in Germany, when I was a little boy, there was a charge levied by the government if you bought a TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not for radios, mind you, but if you bought a TV, there was a charge levied, or then you
like
pay
in England,
ongoing.
they've got a license fee.
Exactly, and you pay an ongoing thing, and that would pay for all the programming that you enjoy, because mostly back then it was all government TV. Now, of course, you have advertising.
Or for the TV you didn't enjoy.
Well, that's don't buy TVs.
You were supposed to enjoy it. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. Just let the TV wash over you.
I'll tell you, even here, even though we didn't pay for it, it was still terrible.
It's still terrible. Maybe if you had paid for it, it'd be better. But ultimately, so if there was a flat charge rate, the government says, okay, look, you are clearly making power. That's generating power, and that's transmitted. So we pay you by the kilowatt hour that you produce, or whatever, gigawatt hour, or whatever it is, and then we just put it into the taxes and we levy it across everybody, because we don't really know who's using what and who's using how much, or whatever the case may be, right? And that could have worked. That could have worked, but of course, that's not enough control, and nobody wants the government involved. Certainly, none of those guys from back then. Big government is a bad thing, and so we didn't have it. So we had cables everywhere, running everywhere, which is a complete and utter waste, and also an eyesore.
If we didn't have power up until today, and you and I invented it, do you think, in all reality, that we would get it up? It would fly if we said, you've got to put power cables everywhere. What do you mean everywhere? Like, what are we talking here? Well, at least every 20 meters down a street, there's going to be a power pole.
So, not power. That wouldn't work, and I'll tell you why. Because the initial investment would be too expensive. However, and this is actually what happened in reality, if you go to the military, right? And this is how we got electricity, everybody. Believe it or not, they went to the military and said, "Hey, I can transmit information, on the wireless or on the wire. Initially, it was telegraph. So here we go." And I can use electricity for that. What's electricity? Don't mind. Don't worry about electricity. Just let me show you. And they demonstrated it, and the military was sold. This is fucking brilliant. This is awesome. I love it. Let's go with it. Right? That's what they said verbatim. I'm just quoting. It's just a quote.
That's okay. It's the expletive I heard. That's funny.
No, that's it. But I'm quoting. Yeah. That's why I'm saying it, because that's exactly the words they used. So it's a quote. It's a historical quote. You know.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that. That's right, FCC. But it is, and then of course once the military buys in, then we built the infrastructure, and it was actually coinciding with the railway. So they built the railway along with the telegraph.
That's
at the same time. So every railway station, let's say, also got a telegraph post, and from there it just went on, and then electricity was became more and more widely used, but it had to have a catalyst. In this case, the catalyst was the military and the railway, right? That's really what started it all. And funnily enough, right, America was a huge consumer of it. Though, believe it or not, I think it was Baghdad who had the first 100 meters of street lighting when England was still burning gas lamps. What a wonderful world we live in today, right?
And then there was the Carrington event.
That was, of course, again, if the Carrington event happened. So the Carrington event was a massive coronal ejection, right? Massive, right? And it pretty much it made power and telegraph transmission possible without any electricity, because it was so charged, it was just going by itself. You didn't need to generate any power. It was just wonderful. It burned out a few things, as well. A few.
And it even killed a telegraph operator.
Yeah, a very unlucky guy. I mean, seriously. I mean, to be killed by the Carrington event at that time was extremely unlucky. Let's just call it a spade a spade. Yeah, the first recipient of the Darwin Award. That would have been the guy who stuck his hand in the snake hole, wouldn't it?
That's right.
I bet you 50 berries there's no snake in here. What happens if I win? Oh, good point.
Are you going to still give me? Let's put the berries in a pile first.
That's exactly right. Well, the berries. But yeah, so and it happened. But it was such a runaway technology that it was phenomenal. And similarly with the car. I mean, the car was successful because there was no more horse poop in the street. There was the single biggest advantage of the car.
Totally, yes.
And we always forget the smaller bits of history. Why did something happen? Why was something successful and something else was not? Why didn't color TV take off? Because it was invented before black and white.
It was. Right?
Because it was a bridge too far. Yeah. It was a bridge too far, I think, right? People they weren't ready for it.
In fact, they weren't ready for it because it was just too eerie.
Yeah. Like, are there little people in that box? That's not right, is it? What?
It was, but if you go back in time, Mickey, I wanted to say some other things as a segue there with how eerie things were. Wasn't it the violin that was banned when it was invented because it was too eerily close to the human voice?
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not sure, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Because there's been a whole bunch of I'll come back to the early 1900s with the steam engine, with my grandmother, and the talk at the time with this steam engine that was blistering pace of 28 miles an hour, and it was told that if you would get in the carriage with the windows open, it would cause such a vacuum that you would die as a passenger.
That's right.
If you had the window open, you get covered in soot. Is what happens.
But they thought all the air would be sucked out and you'd all die. 60 miles an hour, was it?
No, 28 miles an hour.
Was it? Yeah, that sounds.
That's all they had. Right. This is in England.
28 miles an hour. I mean, really? I mean,
well, remember the nuclear tests that America did. The American press people had to say, the military press people had to say that the nuclear explosion will not burn all of the atmosphere.
No, but they didn't.
it won't burn all the oxygen in the atmosphere, and it won't cause a hole at the bottom of the ocean and all the ocean drain out. These were things that people were worried about, and they had to promote at least some trust. But of course, when you watch Oppenheimer, what's the quote that he says?
It's Matt Damon and Cumberbatch, right? And they're talking. And so what's the so Mark Matt Damon, who plays the military official, says, so what are the odds of this going sideways and like burning up the atmosphere or some such? And Oppenheimer, Cumberbatch goes, about 1 in a million or whatever he said.
That's right.
And then Matt Damon is just besides himself. He goes, what?
It's not zero.
What? Then Oppenheimer goes, well, what would you expect? None. No chance would be good.
Yeah, that's right.
No chance. We're dealing with a new science or technology, or whatever, untested. Oppenheimer says, I can't give you certainty. And we're still there, by the way.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know what was going to happen when they switched on the Large Hadron Collider. No idea. Let's just switch it on. Let's see what happens. Get some ideas.
What happens. That's
Dave,
right.
We did the math. I science all day long. Nothing will go wrong.
That's true. He does. He does.
Now, the funny thing is this. A lot of people think, this I know is completely left field, but a lot of people think that things went seriously sideways when they switched that thing on, and apparently the Mandela effects just multiplied.
Yeah, totally.
And who's to say? Well, because if you think about what it does, right? We found the Higgs boson in there, right? That was a big thing. But all the other things it does, smashing things together, and they're building a bigger one now.
Because that wasn't sufficient.
No, big one. Sufficient. You're funny, Dave. Sufficient. There's the government grants to spend. Let's go. Now,
well, they didn't know what scale to build it. Clearly, it was an alien technology sent in a message, just like the Contact movie. And instead of making something that took you to the aliens, all it does is give you this thing that really ruins your time on your planet.
It crashes
changes the universe for you. That's great.
But speaking of which, there have been a few researchers. I'm sure you've seen this as well.
The scale was wrong.
Scale was wrong. People have turned crop circles into 3D animations, if you will. Right. So there's a crop circle, and then you give it three-dimensionality, and quite a few of those things seem to look like parts of a machine. And there's one guy that started building it.
Oh,
right.
Here we go.
Yeah. And now I don't know what the outcome is, so I'm sorry if I've whetted the appetite. Everybody.
And no one's seen him since, right?
No one's seen him. Poof. No, but yeah. So but only from the real crop circles, right? And,
that's right. Yeah.
And just to be clear, I'm not a crop circle believer. I know there are real crop circles, and I know there are non-real crop circles. How do I know this? In real crop circles, the stalk, wheat, corn, whatever, is not damaged or broken, but rather bent, and it keeps growing, so that the plant lives. In a hoaxed crop circle, it's trampled down. You're killing the stalk.
Yeah.
That is the key criterion. There are actually other things, like microwave radiation. The effect of microwave radiation, especially on the the connecting little knob in the stalk.
Yes.
Okay. What they found is that microwave radiation and pole vaulting into a field at the age of 60 are not responsible, because that's what they said they did. We pole vaulted into the circle because, well, how come there are no footprints around there? We pole vaulted it. Clearly you did.
That's
just
right.
Show me how you did that, please. I want to see your pole vault, please. Well,
it's just like the Egyptians building the pyramids. Come on.
Yeah, copper chisels. What?
Just have faith.
It was built with. It was David. It was built with love. With love.
We didn't just find them in the desert, right?
No. He does it with
that's
love.
that's the George Bush Jr. when he says, "Don't believe any crazy conspiracy stories," right?
I tell you what, man. This everything. I mean, there's some seriously bad stuff going on, but I mean, I'm almost in stitches half the time. I'm crying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm turning into bipolar schizophrenic.
You're crying at the same time.
Crying, laughing, crying,
Shocked.
laughing.
Yeah.
Not sure. No. Oh, funnily enough, I want to share this with you. My daughter is going to be tested for something of a highly gifted thing.
Cool.
The test is not cheap, but apparently that's what they want to do because she's showing signs. Anyway, which is good. But she's very interested in all of this stuff, so I tell her about these things. Now she's only 11. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for her to know about all of these things, but I don't treat my kids like kids, I guess. I do talk to them like this.
I'm just going to say be safe.
There's the music. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Really appreciate it. This has been Plato's Cave. Something else is going to come up. Please stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. And if you want to, catch us again on Thursday, that's great. Come on Shiny Side Out, Mind Control on Sundays. And Dave, what did you just say?
I said be safe.
Of course.